Good day, everyone. I am Ronald, the moderator for this webinar, and I welcome everybody for that will be on navigating the world of special education laws. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, that is Hope Ann Kirsch. Hope Ann Kirsch, MAEDESQ, is a licensed special education teacher and 25 plus years litigation attorney. Her law practice is focused on special education and discipline. Ms. Kirsch was a special education teacher and special education coordinator in the New York City Public School for 18 years. She has a bachelor's degree in special education from Boston University, a master's degree in special education from NYU, 30 plus postgraduate credits in educational supervision and administration. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, Hope.
Thank you. So what are the laws impacting students with disabilities? The key laws that affect students with disabilities are the Individuals with Disability Education Act, which is the IDEA, and also Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 as amended, which we refer to as Section 504, and the Americans with Disability Act. The IDEA is a law that ensures services to children with disabilities throughout the United States. Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 is a national law that protects individuals with disabilities from discrimination in programs and activities that receive federal financial assistance. The Americans with Disability Act of 1990, which we refer to as the ADA, is a related law that prohibits discrimination against people with disabilities in state and local government services, including public rights of way. Title III defines discrimination as the failure to take such steps as may be necessary to ensure that no individual with a disability is excluded, denied services, segregated, or otherwise treated differently. So a word or three about charter schools. Yes, they are public. They are semi-autonomous. They are independent public schools. That means they're exempt from many state and local statutory and regulatory requirements. So we're going to start with the 504 and the ADA. So what's the difference between 504 and ADA? Both prohibit discrimination. Section 504 is a federal law. It protects individuals with disabilities from discrimination. The Americans with Disability Act, the ADA, is a related law that was modeled after Section 504. It prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in state and local government services, and it extends to private businesses. So difference between, this is the Americans with Disability Act. On the left side of your screen is the United States Code. It's called Equal Opportunity for Individuals with Disabilities. On the right side of your screen is the implementing regulations. So this is Title II of the ADA, and then Title III is, the left side is the Congressional Act, the right side is the implementing regulations. So Title III, when it comes to private schools, under the ADA, private schools are required to make reasonable accommodations and provide auxiliary aids and services to ensure that students with disabilities are not excluded. So here are some examples of discrimination. So the differences between the IDEA and 504. So the IDEA, that was originally enacted in 1975. The function or the purpose was to end state practices that excluded and prevented students with disabilities from receiving an education. Another difference between the two laws is the definition of disability. Under Section 504 in the ADA, a person is considered to have a disability if they have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, whereas the IDEA is a much narrower definition of disability that only applies to children who require special education services. Here's an overview. IDEA is the nation's special education law. 504 is a civil rights law, not an education law. So here are some more differences with the IDEA. Under the IDEA, a student gets an individualized education program. That's the IEP. Under 504, the student gets a 504 accommodation plan. So here are the different definitions of a free and appropriate public education, comparing eligibility for IEP and 504. These are the major life activities. Just this is not an exclusive list. It must affect a major life function. Substantially limits. What does that mean? The threshold issue of whether an impairment substantially limits a major life activity should not demand an extensive analysis. What is a record of impairment? What is regarded as having such an impairment mean? Okay, mitigating measures. Schools, when determining if a student qualifies for a 504 plan, may not consider the ameliorative effects of mitigating measures. So let's compare the evaluation for an IEP versus for a 504. So again, the team, the MET team, their law doesn't say who must be part of the MET team. That's the evaluation team. So let's compare the plan for an IEP versus a 504. So how often is the IEP written? So this is an example of modifications and specially designed instruction and accommodations. So just beware. Let's see. The IEP and 504 accommodations, these are some other examples of accommodations. This is what a sample 504 accommodation plan looks like. Discipline. Discipline is a big one. So the procedural safeguards on the left side for the IEP, that's going to be about a 30-page document. On the right side, it's generally a one-page document. These are disputes and violations that we encounter a lot of times. And this is various dispute resolution under the IEP. That's it. We've gone beyond time, and that's a summary of everything that we have discussed. I like an IEP because there's more accountability there. Of course, you can't always qualify for that, but it's really good in discipline because a student cannot be long-term suspended or expelled. And that's really, really important. So if I have a child with ADHD who seems to be getting suspended a lot, I'm going to be pushing for an IEP. And thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Hope. That
Thank you.
concludes the session for today. Thank you everyone for participating. You may all disconnect now and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.